It was a misty moonlit night on the island of Silver. Thomas was playing late night goods train along his branch line. He was heading towards the final station. The late night goods train ran through Knapford through Allsdale, with a line terminated while a new bridge was currently under construction. He was most careful as he ascended Gordon's Hill. Then there was trouble. Once he was at the top of Gordon's Hill, his driver applied the brakes as he was about to descend down the hill, but the cars refused to move. "No, no, no, no," called the cars. Come along," puffed Thomas. So the cars did. But as he descended down the hill, the cars began to push him. On, laughed the cars. Stop pushing, puffed Thomas. His driver shut off steam and applied the brakes, but Thomas couldn't stop. Thomas raced to the station. Then they had been switched off the main line, heading towards the bridge. "If we go over that cliff, we're doomed," said his fireman. But it was no use. The chain came undone and snapped. Cars halted to a stop, but Thomas kept on moving. His driver and fireman jumped clear, but Thomas came off the rails and fell into the ravine below. "Oh, help, help!" cried Thomas. "Ah," he cried. He realized that it was just a bad dream. "Are you alright, Thomas?" asked Edward. "Yes," he replied. "It was just a bad dream I had." "You've been having them a lot for the past few weeks," exclaimed Edward. "Would you like to talk to someone about these night terrors?" No," replied Thomas. "These will just go away." "Would you two little ones be quiet?" grunted Gordon. "Some of us have to pull the express in the morning." "And some of us have to pull a filthy goods train early in the morning as well," wheezed James angrily. "Oh, sorry," said Edward. Gordon, James, and Edward went back to sleep, but Thomas couldn't. He was worried that he would have another night terror. After a while, he went back to sleep and didn't have a night terror for the rest of the night. The next morning, Gordon and James were still boasting. "I couldn't sleep a wink last night with your screaming," exclaimed Gordon. "I'm a busy engine, and I need my rest." "Silence!" boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "Thomas, I would like you to pull James's goods train." "Yes, sir," replied Thomas. "And James," continued Sir Topham Hatt, "I want you to work at the docks today." This made James cross. "A splendid red engine like me working at the docks? But, sir—" "Really useful engines don't argue," said Sir Topham Hatt, and he went back to his office. "Ha ha," laughed Gordon. "To think you'd be pulling the express today. I'm not wasting my time talking to a red engine like you. Goodbye." And Gordon left and went to Knapford Station to pull the express. As James made his way towards the docks, he ran into Veronica at Elsbridge. "Hello, James," she said proudly. "Why the grumpy face?" "Sir Topham Hatt wanted me to work at the docks," she said. "A splendid red engine like me shouldn't be seen there." Veronica felt sorry for James. "Don't worry, James," she said. "At least you'll be a really useful engine." And she puffed away. James was still cross when he was gathering cars for Thomas's train. "Yuck," said James. "Dirty cars from dirty yards." Cranky laughed from above. "What's the matter, James? Have you got a dirty job to do?" James said nothing and continued gathering the rest of the cars. "What's that red monster doing here?" cried the cars. "We want another engine to gather us." James was crosser than ever. "It's not my fault that everyone has a better job to do than me." "Take that, cars," and he bumped them hard. "Oh," groaned the cars, "we'll get you back for this." At last, James gathered all the cars, and Thomas arrived at the docks ready to pull his train. "Thank you, James," said Thomas. "Sorry I can't stay and chat. I must be on my way." And with that, Thomas puffed away. "Come along, James," said his driver. "You deserve a drink for your hard work." James whistled in delight. "Thank you, that will be nice." Thomas was making a good time as he puffed along his branch line. But the cars were still cross. "Since we can't pay James back for bumping us, we'll get back at Thomas." But Thomas didn't hear them. When they were nearly at the top of Gordon's Hill, they played their tricks. Ready, steady, go! And they started pushing Thomas down the hill. His driver applied the brakes, but the cars wouldn't stop. Stop pushing, he hissed. Go on, laughed the cars. They pushed Thomas through Arlesdale Station. Then, he was diverted off the main line and onto the goods line. The coupling between them broke, but Thomas kept on moving. Thomas slid off the rails and into a field. "Oh, help!" wailed Thomas. Then he headed straight towards an abandoned tunnel. "Oh no!" shrieked Thomas and shut his eyes. When he opened up his eyes, he noticed that he was back on railroad tracks. "Where are we?" he said. "I don't think we're on Sodor anymore," said his driver. "What do we do now?" "It's best if we look for a station and phone for help," said his driver. Presently, they approached an old engine shed. "There's probably a phone in there," said his driver. "I'll go check and see." Thomas was worried. "Be careful of ghosts," he warned. "There's no such thing," said his driver. "I'll be alright." And he headed towards the shed. The old doors creaked open, as if they hadn't been opened in years. "Oh my," said the driver. Thomas was worried. He walked out of the shed in surprise. "Would you come look at this, fireman?" "Certainly," replied the fireman. When he walked inside, he was surprised too. "Let's get her running again," said the driver. "She'll be very happy to get moving again." Thomas was confused about what was happening. Then he heard a whistle and the sounds of puffing. "Well, bust my boiler," he exclaimed, and there in front of him was Lady. "Hello, Thomas," she said. She was covered in dust and cobwebs, with a broken running board and damaged funnel. "Long time no see," replied Thomas. His driver spoke to her. "You stay here, lady," he said. "We'll get more help and get you back to Sodor." "Oh, thank you," said Lady. "I do miss Sodor. Hope I can work on the railway again." Thomas said goodbye and left. As they continued down the line, they found an old turntable. Thomas went on it and quickly turned around. When they reached the end of the tunnel, his driver and fireman went to the station and phoned for help. Veronica arrived bringing Rocky and Sir Topham Hatt. "My," he said, "how'd you nip all the way down there?" "Our cars pushed us off the tracks and into the field," replied the driver. "Bother those freight cars," said Sir Topham Hatt, but they didn't tell him about the secret tunnel. Later, Thomas stopped at the coal depot to get another load of coal in his hopper. Stepney was also there. "Hello," said Stepney. "Long time no see." "Yes," sighed Thomas. "It's been a long time since we've seen each other." Thomas looked glum. "You seem nervous," said Stepney. "Anything bothering you?" Thomas didn't want to tell Stepney about the secret tunnel. "Can you keep a secret?" Yes, replied Stepney. What's the trouble? I believe I have found Lady the lost engine. Stepney was shocked. Really? You believe you have found her? I know I have, replied Thomas. Where did you find her? Asked Stepney. I found her on another railway, said Thomas. It's connected to an abandoned tunnel right outside Arlesdale Station. Stepney was surprised. Well, hopefully you can get it back on Sodor. Goodbye. And Stepney puffed away. Hope Stepney is right, sighed Thomas. Hopefully we can bring her back home. And he puffed up to the coal hopper. Diesel 10 overheard what Thomas said. So that's where she's been this whole time, exclaimed Diesel 10. Time to formulate a plan. Later, Thomas was taking passengers along his branch line. At last, they stopped at the final station. Oliver was there. Hello, Thomas, he said. Hello, Oliver, Thomas replied. How have you been? I've been better, he said proudly. Now, it's time for me to finish my job. As Oliver left the station, they heard a coupling snap. Hurrah! Hurrah! They yelled. Oliver quickly raced behind them. The cars sped up as they went down the hill. Just then, there was Duck. Stop! He shouted, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but poor Duck was covered with freight cars. Thomas quickly fetched Rocky and helped Duck back to safety. Later that night, Thomas arrived back at the sheds. James was still boasting. I can't believe I had to shunt freight cars, he exclaimed. It isn't fair. This made Gordon grumpy. You can't always pull the express every day, he said. But you always pull the express. That's because I'm an express engine. You don't see me pulling freight cars. It wouldn't be dignified. Just then, Sir Topham had arrived. He had important news. Due to Duck's accident, he said, I will need another engine to do his job while he gets repaired. Gordon, I need you to pull Duck's goods train in the morning. James can take the express. A goods train? Exclaimed Gordon. Yes, I need a strong engine to do it. Why can't Henry take it? He likes good trains. You'll do as you are told, he said, and then Sir Topham Hatt drove away. James chuckled. Well, so much for being dignified. You boasted too much about taking the express, so it serves you right. Gordon chose not to argue and went to sleep. Thomas was concerned for Lady. What can we do about Lady? He asked the driver. I'm sure she'll be all right, and we'll go see her in the morning and hopefully tell Sir Topham Hatt that we found her. Late into the evening, Diesel 10 was making his plan. He had teamed up with Diesel to find Lady. Now, Diesel, any ideas on how to find her? We can try looking around Sodor. No, snapped Diesel 10 fiercely. That blue puffball said that he found her on some other railway. I'm asking you, how do we find that secret railway? Do you know where there's a secret entrance? Quizzed Diesel. Diesel 10 knew how to get to the other railway, but he forgot where the tunnel was located. I forgot where the actual location is, but all I know was that you have to go through a secret tunnel. Do you have an idea where it might be? Diesel was lost in thought. Not a clue. Darn, said Diesel 10 angrily. I should have hired Airy and Bert. They would have been more help. The next morning, Thomas's driver and fireman came early and went back to the hill where the old tunnel was. I'll see if I can get help, said the fireman. While he went for help, Veronica arrived. Morning, Thomas, she said cheerfully. "What are you doing here so early?" Thomas told her about Lady, the lost engine, and that she was on another railway. "There's a tunnel that leads to a secret railway?" she asked curiously. "Yes," replied Thomas. "I hope we can bring her back on Sodor." "Well, good luck," he said, and steamed away. Soon, the fireman returned. "I got help, but we'll have to do it later in the day." Thomas wondered about what to do in the meantime. "I know, I'll ask Skarloey. He's one of the oldest engines on the railway. He must know about the secret railway." Meanwhile, Diesel and Diesel 10 were looking for the tunnel. "Is that it?" asked Diesel. "No, that's just a hill," came the reply. "Is that it?" "No, that's Henry's tunnel." "Yar! Let's keep looking." "Is that it?" "No." "Is that it?" "No." "Is that it?" "No." "Is that it?" "No." At last, Thomas arrived at the narrow gauge railway. There was Skarloey having a washdown. "Morning, Thomas," said Skarloey. "What brings you here?" Thomas told him about the secret railway he found. "Do you know anything about it?" he asked. Skarloey pondered. That tunnel was there when the railway first opened. I'll tell you about it." When the railway first opened and they found this tunnel, they used it as a new railway for vacationers. People loved this railway so much, they nicknamed it the Second Sodor. Sir Topham Hatt often held parties there. But the railway wasn't just used for narrow gauge engines, it was also used for standard gauge engines as well. People really loved this railway so much, but at the same time, other famous locations on the regular island were opening up as well, and this railway was used less and less. And thus, Sir Topham Hatt closed it down and blocked the tunnel off as well, and the memories of this railway faded away as the years went on. I remember right before I went back to my railway, I remember seeing two men putting an engine into a lonely shed. And to this day, I still have no idea who that engine was. "Oh dear," exclaimed Thomas. "I must get back there and help Lady back home." Skarloey was in shock. "You have found the lady?" "Yes, I have." "Oh my, I remember now. That was the engine that was placed in the shed years ago. I haven't seen her in years. Well, good luck getting her back home." "Would you now be quiet?" retorted Duncan. "I'm trying to get my sleep." "Oh, sorry, Duncan," said Skarloey. "Well, I wish you the best of luck, Thomas. Good luck." "Thank you," said Thomas, and made his way back to the sheds. When he arrived, Gordon was grumpy. "Where have you been?" he asked. "I went and saw Skarloey." "Why the heck would you do that?" asked James. "Because of the secret tunnel at the bottom of Arlesdale Station. When I went through the tunnel, I was on another railway and found the lady. The other engines were thrilled to hear that lady was still alive." "We can help you," whistled Percy. "We can help her back to Sodor." The engines were indeed happy that lady was still around. They began making plans on how to get her back to Sodor when suddenly a voice boomed and broke their conversation. "Silence!" called Sir Topham Hatt. "Now what's all this noise about?" Thomas told him that he found the lady in the secret railway. "Oh my," he exclaimed. "That was when you went off the rails. Why didn't you tell me?" "I figured you wouldn't believe me, but after hearing the stories Skarloey told me, everything about the island is true." "Yes, indeed. Now, we must get going right now." "You will also need Rocky," added Percy. "Then you'll have to get Rocky, Percy. Be quick now." Sir Topham Hatt quickly jumped into Thomas's cab while Percy followed them. The engines cheered them on as they got ready for work. Percy went and got Rocky, while Thomas was ready to send him down the hill again. Sir Topham Hatt stepped out to keep watch. "Be careful," he said, "and good luck." "We will, and thank you," they replied. Thomas descended down the hill and into the tunnel. Once he was on the railroad tracks, he raced along the line. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he puffed. He really meant it. At last, they arrived at the shed. "Thomas!" she exclaimed. "We're getting you back to Sodor now." The driver and fireman wasted no time. Thomas quickly attached his coupling to Lady's and steamed away. "We're near the end," said Thomas. "Let's go home," said Lady cheerfully, and the two engines raced through the tunnel. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting anxiously for them. Then he heard Thomas's whistle. The two engines landed in the field on Sodor. "Hope the engine's back onto the rails," he instructed Rocky. "Yes, sir," replied Rocky. At first, it was a bit difficult on how to get the engines back onto the rails. In the end, the workmen attached Rocky's chain to Thomas's chain and pulled them back onto the rails. Sir Topham Hatt was relieved that they were all right. My, he exclaimed. "It's a good thing you're still alive." "Indeed," replied Thomas's driver. Sir Topham Hatt looked all over a Lady. Broken funnel, damaged running board. Maybe when you get repaired, you'll be really useful indeed. "Thank you," she said cheerfully. Percy was also happy as well. When they got back to the station, they were talking about good times and happy that Lady was back. They were talking about good times when suddenly they heard Diesel 10's claw, Pinchy, making noises in the distance. Well, there's the blue puffball. And look who he's with, the lost steam engine." Thomas, Lady, and everyone was shocked by what they heard. "Your only hope is to make a run for it," advised Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas quickly buffered up to Lady and steamed away as fast as they could, while Diesel 10 followed them from behind. "I hope they'll be alright," shivered Percy. Diesel 10 was still on their tail. "Better pick up the pace, Puffball, or you'll be lunch for Pinchy." "Oh, get away!" puffed Thomas. Then there was trouble. There was Gordon with the express. "Get out of my way!" he yelled. They quickly raced past him. "What was that?" he exclaimed. Soon they approached the viaduct. The viaduct was currently under repair and closed off the main line. The signalman had accidentally point switched to the viaduct. Thomas and Lady raced past the signal box, while Diesel 10 followed. "Oh no," gasped the signalman. "Engines are supposed to go on that line." As the engines got closer to the viaduct, it began to crumble. "Pretty fast for a steamy," called Diesel 10. But it was too late. The viaduct supports gave way and fell down below. "Oh no!" cried Thomas. As the two engines got closer to the remaining part of the viaduct, Thomas began to slow down. "What's happening?" "You're completely out of coal," said his fireman. "This might be the end of us," said his driver. Suddenly, a miracle happened. Gold dust began to come out of Lady. "I'll use the rest of my magic to save us," she called. She helped herself and Thomas get over the viaduct. As they rushed over it, the last remaining piece of track gave way. "I'm very proud of you, Lady," called Thomas, and whistled in happiness. As Diesel 10 came closer, he applied his brakes, but it was too late. "Oh no!" wailed Diesel 10 as he went over the viaduct into the muddy water below. "Murr!" exclaimed Diesel 10. Later that day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. He was very cross. "I can't believe you tried to murder two of my engines," he exclaimed. "I expected better from you, Diesel. As your punishment, you will interact with some of the engine till you learn to get along." Diesel 10 was very cross. Lady was sent to the works to be mended and returned in a new coat of paint. When she returned, Sir Topham Hatt praised them both for their bravery. "I'm very proud of you both," he said. "Thomas, I'm proud of you for your quick thinking and getting Lady away from Diesel 10. "Thank you, sir," came the reply. "And Lady," continued Sir Topham Hatt, "I'm proud of you for using the last of your magic to help yourself and one of my engines to safety." Lady felt pleased. "Thank you, sir," she grinned. Now Lady is a proud engine and enjoys working on Sir Topham Hatt's railway. The abandoned tunnel was reopened and rebuilt to its former glory. Lady was pleased to see this railway up and running again and enjoys working on it too. As for Diesel 10, well, let's just say he wasn't pleased with his punishment. The other engines teased him. "You're a lazy diesel," whistled James. "And slow as well," added Henry. Diesel 10 shuddered with anger. And Sir Topham Hatt has made a special shed for Lady at Tidmouth Sheds. "You are all really useful engines," he said proudly, and all the engines whistled in delight.